right about now and repeat what I said, which is welcome to the 15th episode of Born in Trouble. I'm your host, John X. Here are my illustrious guests this evening. You have to excuse me, I'm a little bit sleepy. We got a full house today.
What kind of way is that to start, Holmes? Come on.
Let me try this again.
No, Sleepy Brown. Why you? Well, you on live. You can't try it again. You just gotta keep rolling now.
Right.
Well, I
Right.
can.
Well,
See, this is the problem with having one professional on your
this is
panel.
gonna be like an episode of Winnie the Pooh.
It's constant criticism.
Get his ass, Rob. Get his ass.
I'm tired. Welcome to the 15th episode of Born in Trouble. I'm your host, John
I'm so tired.
And I've got with me the three
Tired
funny
of
men
playing the game.
from ATL, Mr. Gene Hopkins.
Howdy, folks.
From Detroit, Michigan, the City Wang Kang,
What?
Mr. Grant Lancaster.
What up, dog? How you be?
And the surprise returning guest this week, the man who got rained out from his baseball game this evening. I'm not going to say anything, Rob. I know you're waiting for it. Mr. Brooks with the good looks. Rob Brooks.
What it is, man.
What it is.
I'm ready. I'm excited.
Yeah,
Once you wake up.
y'all have to excuse me, man. I fell asleep and I ended up taking a nap, and I woke up and I was like, man, what time is it? Where am I at? What time is it? What should I be doing? And I was like, oh, maybe I should call and I should cancel the show because I'm tired. I'm sleepy. But no, the show must go on. So here I am, soldiering through.
That's right.
Soldiering through. And we're going to start this week with a very interesting, or another conversation. Listen, we got to start where everybody else is at right now, where everyone in Black America is at. And that's with the video that I sent you earlier. I'm sure that you had all seen it before. That's right, the knockout in Montgomery, Alabama, the fight, the brawl that everyone's talking about, the Seaside Brawl with Aqua Brother in Montgomery.
Yes, sir.
It's a beautiful thing, man. It's a beautiful thing. When I saw that brother swimming through the water, I almost started clapping in my office, man.
Yeah, that wasn't great strategy, though. I mean, you're going to be exhausted after you swim
it's not
like
great,
that.
but just the passion, man.
He's 16, bro. He got all the energy in the world.
Yeah, though, I saw those folks cuffed up afterward, and I was thinking, they ain't really get beat that bad, I was wondering what the hell everybody was doing. Ain't nobody was leaking, nothing. Good Lord! But I guess
as many people got hit by a chair, you'd have thought somebody would have beat up.
Right.
Well, as much as we talk about street fights, if you look at them, most of the times the form is terrible. So these guys, you're not really in too much. Like the haymakers take forever to throw.
You see them cops didn't even jump in, man. I thought I saw some cops out there just kind of try to calm everybody down with their voices. They was like, "Look, yeah, we're not getting in this shit right here."
Yeah, they were like, "We're gonna let them take this one." That was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well, that's like was fuck around and find out day in Montgomery on Saturday evening, where anyone who might have a problem right now, they found out what the value of that problem is right now. So I was happy, I see the cats, the funny memes are, of course, Black Twitter always wins everything.
Oh, man.
And everything.
Oh, man.
When the one for me that did it was the hat phone, the cap phone, with the Batman light on the cap. That was that to me that was great, fantastic, brilliant. What was your favorite Twitter moment about because this is honestly, this is better than Juneteenth. I think that we should just Juneteenth And we should just show
August 5th is a holiday.
Yeah,
August 5th is now a holiday.
It's an official holiday, right?
Yeah. The one with the Luther Vandross, the chair is just a chair.
Yeah,
that was the one for me.
The one for me is when my man. I saw a picture of a dude. Said he open carry now. He had a chair on the holster.
I saw that. That was crazy.
Oh man.
What was yours, Rob? What was your favorite?
It was probably the open carry one. I saw that one earlier. I was like, there's a lot of people who got a lot of time on their hands, man.
Yeah.
And the I love the way that just in a matter of a week we flipped the saying of don't try that in a small town completely.
Right.
It's yes, try that in a small town, Montgomery. See what'll happen. F around and find out. I mean, what were these people thinking? They have a little boat. They holding everybody up. They're holding everybody up.
Right.
Why'd they attack the dude? They attacked the dude who threw his head. That's what got it kicked off.
Let's find out those blood alcohol levels were.
Right.
And
because nigga, you can't tell me that.
You get juiced up, and now you look at it like, who are you talking to, nigga?
Yeah,
alcohol's way out in front. You notice alcohol related is all this is alcohol related.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, is this an argument to ban alcohol now? Like they've banned other substances?
You don't have enough money to defeat that lobby. I ain't even. It's not even a conversation to engage.
Well, I think that white people would say, based upon the way that they fought, that they were drinking Bud Light on that skiff.
It looked like nobody was fighting out there. I was like, God, dogs, anybody just gonna do a little technique, and get the upper hand quick? I ain't see nothing. I saw a bunch of.
Everybody got to keep their knees.
Yeah, it was a melee.
Yeah,
it was a melee.
Yeah,
I did see somebody get a body slam though. That was kind of. Then he got stomped in the face.
Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah, I saw.
I saw one lady get drugged by this bigger black chick. She was feeding her them soup bones repeatedly. Yeah. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Good job, Montgomery.
It is. I mean, it's cool for a change. It's cool for a change to see that. I mean, it's I don't want us, and not just us, but us to get carried away with that shit. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, all right, that's cool. Start a mantra. Start something.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah,
the joy in it was seeing black folks band together.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Don't go on the
Everybody
offense.
coming to the rescue.
joy.
Everybody
That's
coming
the
to the
joy.
rescue. Like, yo, we're in trouble.
Yeah, don't go on the offense with it yet, though. That's more than caution. You know what I'm saying? We ain't ready for the offense yet. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Black Aquaman.
Dude, we don't want to go on offense because guess what? They're ready to play defense.
Oh yeah,
Right.
Oh, man.
Oh, for sure.
Oh man.
Yeah. Well, Black Aquaman, he's out. He can be the head of the Black Navy SEALs right there, as he swam across, got up, and then got right back into it. So he's our first Navy SEALs. I love the names for him were just just hilarious.
You know the funny thing? Watch is gonna be on the news tomorrow. They're like a day behind when it comes to popular black things.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
And then when they see all the trend and everything else, and then the next day it's a story.
Well, they want to, like Rob said, and like you said, don't start going on the offense. They're going to discourage that. They're going to discourage a lot of it. They're going to try to kill that story as quickly as possible because it's an uprising.
I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't even run it.
Yeah, this would get, I would imagine, the same type of coverage that the John Brown rebellions would have garnered in the late 1800s. It's not something that they want people picking up on. You're not going to be able to get the coverage down in the South.
I mean, that's still Alabama.
The reason this is a story is because this ain't typically what we do. You know what I mean?
Right.
We don't have a history of violence.
Right.
Just jumping on white folks. I mean, clearly the white folks started it, but we don't have a history of this. To me, that's the reason why it's really news.
Well, let's be honest.
Oh yeah, it's definitely news because the posse came to the rescue. Like if it was just those guys beating him up, it would have been a quick thing, if at all. They'd have tried to bury it first. But us coming to the rescue, especially my man swimming out there like that.
Yeah.
And that other brother, you could see him running. You could see him take off running, runs from right to left across the top of the thing. And you're like,
right.
And is he going to join? And then you see him coming back down the ramp, coming the other direction down the ramp. You're like, oh yeah, he's coming to get some.
Yeah, he went in there, he didn't go in there guns hot though. You know what I'm saying? He was kind of shoving and shit. He didn't go in guns. I was hoping he ran into that guns hot.
He didn't come in like with Orange Juice Jones Rambo kick or nothing like that. Like it was very tentative.
Well, I think the guy who made the biggest splash was the Black Ric Flair, and that's the guy who grabbed the folding chair. The one who grabbed the folding chair and just started bopping people as if he was like, it was like watching old NWA tapes. He was just like, you want some? What? You want some Hulk Hogan? Psh, what?
Yeah.
What? You think you're ready for this, Randy Man, Macho Man Savage?
Yo, I'm gonna tell you between that and that cat that got caught in that damn store. Trying to just take those cigarettes off the shelf and shit.
Oh, yeah.
I just can't stop watching it, man. Y'all seen that? The commentator said, that's an ass whooping right there. That's an ass whooping. He said, get this nigga off of me.
No, that shit was so funny, dog. That shit was so funny.
It was a bad week for internet beatings. Definitely a bad week for internet beatings. If you looked around,
that dude was coming from the top rope with that stick. That's what you was reminding me of with the chair beating. That dude had that pole like, I'm talking about putting his back into it.
I think that as we grow as a species and we're getting more accustomed to the cameras, it's that cameras and recording is something that police officers have to get used to and we have to get used to. And, we learn instinctually over years, much like jaguars learn how to master their terrain, and pumas and tigers, up in the rocks. And this was one of those weeks where instinctually you will learn over time that when you see a light coming on in these certain circumstances, naturally nothing good is going to come out of this recording, and you should back away from that at that point in time. So it's like, nature will teach. It will teach that young man or that man who ended up taking that terrible bamboo beating in that store from those people. It's terrible. Terrible beating in bamboo.
He earned
it. Yeah, he tried to slide past him. It's like, don't. What was they threatening the cat? So you know what? It took them for a second to realize ain't nobody had no gun. He was just going to try strong arm him with no weapon. And then it was over after that. What was the cameraman doing? The cameraman was on the side for a second. It was like, y'all can't do nothing now. Y'all can't do nothing. Let him go. Don't do that.
That's always my question. Like, why are you filming at this moment in time? That's always my question. Like, how did you get to be here filming right now?
Yeah,
man.
Well,
but I guess somebody's always filming something.
Somebody's always filming right now. Somebody's always trying to loot. And that brings us to the first real topic of the show, but because we've had a lot of fun with the Montgomery Victory Tour. You've made our ancestors proud. Martin Luther King couldn't have done it better with this march through Selma.
I want a backstory. I want a backstory on those guys. That's what I'd like to.
I'd like to see that got beat, or the guys.
I want to know. I want to know what kind of great boys they are.
Well,
one of the dudes owns a store. One of the dudes owns some sort of grocery store, and supposedly he's already being they're already blackballing his shit.
Oh well, he should be. He should be blackballed. That's just being rude. They were just being rude assholes. Honestly speaking, and the law wasn't on their side. They're holding up a skiff of 100 people were on that boat waiting to get off.
Yeah. The security guard just trying to get them to move.
Just trying to do his job, man. It's just like everybody had. It's like that. It was a great thing. I don't know, but one thing that you said before I flip over to the subjects, one thing that one of you said about it's good to see us coming to each other's rescue. Is this something that, I can't imagine in the 80s or the 90s something like this happening and getting a similar response. But recently it hasn't felt like that would be the response. Do you think it's something that, is it really like so new? I thought that, for a long time, white people, one of the things that made
Hell yeah, it's new.
No, well, one of the things that made white people afraid of black people was the fact that you knew that if you did X, Y, or Z wrong, it was very possible that what was going to end up happening at the end was that what was going to happen in the end was that they were coming for you. Brothers was coming for you. You didn't act up in certain situations because they knew you would get your ass beat. And now it seems like that fear is gone. That fear from white people definitely is gone. Of like black crowds and things that's what I feel like the actions of those white people on the skiff is a relatively new type of vibe that's come about after 2008. And it's just been so long now, that's 15 years. Now they're actually used to that.
In the 80s, if that would have happened in that same place in Alabama, first of all, the black people would have been holding each other back because they know that in the 80s, if the cops was coming,
the cops would have come in.
Oh yeah,
house hit every black person in the head with a
they would have been trying to make it so that you don't let nobody take advantage of you, but they're not coming to put the beat stick to them guys in the 80s. Not no Alabama. Not if they from there. They know it. It just wouldn't. The energy wouldn't have been the same in the 80s for sure. Really? Now with technology, you got the phone. You could prove this, that, and everything else. And plus, the higher awareness overall because of technology, awareness of history and this and that. Then that's gonna happen now.
So you really feel like this in the 80s? It definitely wouldn't have happened in the 80s. You're feeling. What about in the 90s?
I'm not gonna say definitely, but I think it's less likely.
What about the 2000s? Go ahead.
I think it depends on where you are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where are you in the country?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's certain things that happen in the South that don't happen in the North, and vice versa. Certain things that happen in the North don't happen in the South. So to have that mentality of people there at a time, I think it's much more likely that it would have happened like in the 60s. Probably wouldn't. 70s probably wouldn't. 80s maybe. 90s, yeah, it would happen in the 90s.
I'm just worried about the fate of Ric Flair. Rob, do you think Ric Flair is going to do any time? The black Ric Flair there?
I hope not, but it's probably likely.
Well, it depends. I mean, if he's local, they got, I'm talking about this CYA city over there. You could believe that shit. Because of anything that goes viral, everybody goes into CYA mode, period.
Right.
Crossing T's and dotting I's. And so I think, they're going to comb through the videos and stuff and get whoever they can. Well,
there's two lines of thought with that. There was two, hitting the men in the head is not a problem. He beans some shit.
He smacked her with that chair, dog.
Oh, my gosh.
It was ugly.
Y'all want to talk about violence against women? That was violence against anybody. But listen, not to convict the brother on the show right now. We saw those women and everything.
Oh yeah. Oh, and them the same ones. Oh my God! You put the camera in front of them right now. They the biggest victims in the country. Boy, I'm talking about that. I'm talking about they will start screaming how they were. I thought everybody was gonna die and kill us. I'm talking about they go straight for it. Like I bet you, when you put that thing, that camera on them, we was just trying to help. We saw men getting jumped. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, them chicks was in there throwing bows, coming out. They were like the female wrestlers. They were like, "Come on, honey, I'm going on the top rope," and everything. They ended up getting hit in the head with the chair. And everything. My man had a Ric Flair flashback. He was cracking me up. It was like Unc was like in it. You know, he was in it.
Yeah.
The anger from every Karen video that people ever saw that frustrated the shit out of people, that you wanted to smack the shit out of somebody, that all came out. Yeah, that was all that.
Fantastic. Yeah. And also, you know, everybody was also kind of amped up from watching They Cloned Tyrone. Right?
Oh, for sure.
So,
for sure.
You know, we can get into that. I know, Gene, have you seen They Cloned Tyrone?
Oh, yeah.
All right. So, yeah, so we all seen it now. So now we're all good here, Rob. So now everything that you had to say last week about They Cloned Tyrone, you are now free to let it go.
You know, I don't know what I want to say about that movie still. Like, I need to watch. I'm gonna wind up watching it like 2-3 more times before I get. Before I get the full thing of it. But, you know, it's such a bleak outlook.
Why do you think that? Why do you think it's bleak?
Why do I think it's bleak?
I mean, because at the end, they won. Did they win?
Did they? It seemed like, you know, the same thing was happening everywhere else. Like, hey, there they were in South Central.
Win is a hard statement. I don't know if you won. But it's so Tyrone is several movies that have happened before. You know what I mean? 3 the Hard Way, Black Dynamite. You know, some of the Matrix in there. You know, the Anaconda malt liquor from Black Dynamite had me from the jump. Right, as soon as I saw the Anaconda malt liquor, I was all in. Right, I'm with the shits at this point. So, but yeah, I think Win is strong. They exposed some things. But I don't think it's a win, because I think it's so you found that, but to me there's still another level. You know what I mean? So you scratched the surface of something to me. So it's a victory, no doubt.
That's exactly what I thought. It was I used the word elementary. You know, but what's troubling to me is that we still have to send the same elementary lessons out to the community, like, you know, in all types of what are those? Those were metaphors, and I forget the other word I'm looking for, but you have to send the message in ways instead of plain English. You know, and so, but it's still a rudimentary message, in my opinion, but I found it entertaining. I thought Jamie Foxx, I enjoyed his character, you know.
I thought the most interesting, you know, I want you guys to describe to me what you think is the most interesting scene. To me, the most interesting scene in the movie was when Tyrone had it wasn't Tyrone, what was he, Montavious in the movie? It was Montavious or something of that. I think that was the name of the character at the top of my head, but I could be wrong. When he sees himself in the thing and he starts yelling, "I'll kill you. I'll kill you. You not me, I'll kill you." You know, on so many levels that was so deep, because it was, to me, and I could feel that right then and there, because it's like he's looking at someone else. He's looking at a mirror reflection of himself, and he doesn't like what he sees. So much so that he's ready to take himself out. And that, to me, was the most poignant point in the movie.
Yo, I saw something, you know, I don't know, a week ago, and I just found it. Brother Ben X. He said something about the Tyrone movie that I thought was interesting. I'm just going to read a little bit of it. It says, "So let me get this clear for the ones who keep missing the message of this movie. You are the clone."
Right.
This movie has nothing to do with Jamie Foxx being cloned. This movie is about you. All you drug dealers, scammers, gangsters, pimps, hoes, and hood rats, you are the clones. You are just carbon copies of the same stereotypes placed in neighborhoods all across the country. You're allowed to thrive because what you are doing to the community keeps the property values low and the whites out, which allows the powers that be to experiment freely on your communities without fear of harming their own. And so I thought that and then he goes on to, of course, which I don't like when anybody judges the broken. I mean, that's so easy to do. But he goes, but it's in context of his message. So at the end, he'll say, notice how the whole hood had to finally come together to prevail. Please tell me that this didn't completely go over y'all head.
Right.
So he kind of ripped into the audience that didn't see the real point of it, in his opinion. So, but I thought he made some interesting points. But I don't know if I can't give any production, Hollywood or anything that you have to pay for. I can't give them credit for trying to help somebody. Just can't, So I think it's that's cool. He gave that Ben X gave that a summary or explanation, and other people have explanations and stuff. But man, they did that to make money,
Yeah. Well, Grant, what do you think was the most interesting scene in the movie?
Most interesting scene in the movie. So the thing that I found when he discovered that his mother was just a recording, for me that was powerful for me, because it just spoke to, you just kind of alone in this world as a man. You know what I mean? I mean, we men are loved based off of what they do, not necessarily like women and children and animals. They're loved unconditionally. Men ain't loved like that. You know what I mean? And he's trying to have this relationship with his moms, but his moms ain't there. You know what I mean? Like it to me, that was powerful for me.
Like you could open up a whole can of worms with that one, because this generation, despite being raised, a lot of these young men that are represented in this movie as being clones were raised by single moms. And what we grew up hearing, where single moms are like two parents and, they're both parents and things go. But at the end of the day, when they end up in prison, no one's there to take advantage of them.
Mm-hmm.
No one wants to take credit for that one and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And some of us were, a lot of us in a lot of ways were raised by single parents or single moms. My mother wasn't quite a single mom, but my father, being a truck driver, he was gone enough so that way she lived, that we were on our own, and it was up to her. Rob, what do you think it says about the responsibility of single moms? Have they abdicated? You think that he was trying to say that mothers have abdicated their responsibilities as mothers and are just giving lip service?
I don't know if he was saying that they've abdicated their responsibilities, but maybe he was implying that there is some distance, that there is some, that there is some way in which they do alienate their young.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that I found crazy about that scene was that when he breaks it open and he sees the box, like suddenly time shifts, because how long has this been going on?
Right.
And now you're like, now you start to see, wait a minute, this is just sick. This is the cycle he's talking about. This isn't just here. This is the same game that's been going on for years and years and years.
Right. Yeah, it's Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
Yeah, my I don't know, I wouldn't say favorite scene or this and that, but I mean, one point that was loud and clear is when, he was like, fuck it. I'm just going to do me and understand that shit is going on. At one point, right? And that's, how many of us suffer from cognitive dissonance, that even when we hear what's going on, we see what's going on and stuff, but not only do we say fuck it, but we go ahead and we just dismiss it.
Yeah. We take the blue pill.
Yeah, exactly.
We take the blue pill.
Yeah, who wrote that movie, by the way?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if Jamie Foxx had anything. Someone have to look that up. I think that the most poignant fact about the entire thing is that it's something that we've touched on before here on the show when we talk about history. People who don't know the history of gangs don't recognize that the gangs were started in the inner city to protect, not to keep hostage. Keep the people hostage.
Not to terrorize.
Not to terrorize, exactly. And that's exactly what it's turned around. And I found it interesting that the only soldiers or where the soldiers began, it began with the gangsters. They were once again, it's the ones with the guns. They're the only ones that actually have the ability to affect change in their own neighborhoods, and if properly supported. And the way that they actually went about that at the end, it was actually the hood. It was actually the gangs that came together and provided the firepower that was necessary to free the rest of the hood, per se.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in a way. I thought it was very deep. I understand why Rob didn't want to, not talk about it for so long. So what do you feel like about Tyrone? And then it turns out he wasn't the original. Tyrone is out there in Los Angeles.
Right.
He was the scientist.
Well,
was the original.
Well, yeah, the scientist. I guess it was. That was also confusing too. Was it the scientist, or was the scientist the one? Was he breaking off pieces of himself, or the worst element?
He was the Clarence Thomas. He was the Clarence Thomas of the movie. He was working with the enemy,
Yeah. So was it? Yeah, but was he? Was Tyrone, the original Tyrone, his clone? Or was it Tyrone? I was kind of confused about that. It's sort of like that's. Go ahead.
I think they cloned Tyrone was I think they just used Tyrone as a name.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because the character's name was Fontaine, and then I can't remember the version of him that didn't talk. That was the tough guy with the white boy. I mean, it was so many of him, but then at the end, the one that was in LA, his name was Tyrone. So I think my thought process is that they just used that because they got Badu on board to change the lyrics and re-sing "You Better Call Tyrone."
Mm-hmm.
So next time you go riverboating in Alabama, make sure that the people that are also surrounded by you haven't watched the radicalized film like they cloned Tyrone, because it seems like it was kind of like apropos and it was amped up. It was almost as if the gods were saying like, "Yo, we're gonna pump y'all up, and then we're gonna give you an incident to go out there and practice to see whether or not y'all can act up on Tyrone, and God damn it, y'all passed."
Yeah, and just imagine that could be real. With the crack chicken shit, the crack that they put on the chicken, they had everybody laughing. The hypnotic music, you know what I mean? There was so many things about society. The
hair
perm
chemicals.
Shit. Yeah, the perm shit. Like, you know what I mean? It was just so many things that are like popular that we do in our culture all day, every day.
Well,
that
go ahead.
They were the things. They were. I'm just saying they were the things that made you, that put you under that control.
Well, as far as the perm is concerned, you can't tell certain women not to straighten their hair.
Absolutely.
So it's almost, they don't really need the chemical. The chemical is it's implied that the actual just getting the perm is actually the poison, because you're trying to change it to something different.
Right.
Man, I'll tell you what, I'm starting to get to the point where I actually loathe lace fronts, man.
Oh my God. The eyebrows? Nigga.
I just loathe it. Like, who told you that was it? And who wants that? Who really wants that? I mean, you can't even touch your hair or nothing. Whatever. I mean, it just blows me away on every show where you have basketball hoes and Potomac hoes and this and that. Hey, it's just lace front city, man. And it's like, God, dog, man. Nobody loves themselves. Nobody.
No.
That's not how that's sold, homie. That's not how it's sold.
Whew.
What would be beautiful? What would be beautiful right now for the culture would be like an all natural female, Afro popping, body banging, without the assistance of any surgeon, to come out and just basically kick that Angela Davis.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that would be now if there's someone out there that's got that persona that's been sitting there waiting, you know, the world is basically
there is. I be watching. I don't know.
There's some
I
of
don't
them
know
out
her
there.
name, but I be watching it on my reel. I mean, I just never caught her name, but she be spitting fire.
Well,
She's like the female Ben X, but she's young and, you know, and described just like you said, it be spitting fire. But yeah, that's every one of her. There's 1,000 that ain't like her.
Right. Yeah.
You know, that's the reality.
They not cloning. You know, they not cloning Angela Davis.
you know,
Right.
They cloning Shaniqua Watkins.
You need what you need is like 4 or 5 Beyonce types to go natural. Because they're gonna follow what the music people are doing.
Oh yeah, that definitely follows.
And if you get a bunch of them to go natural and stay natural instead of today, you say you got this wig on. You know, you see her on the Today Show this morning, got hair down to her ass. You see her in the interview in the afternoon, it's just barely down past their ears. You know,
Right.
You see her at night on the Tonight Show, and she's got fucking dreads in. Like, what the fuck? Who are you?
right.
Yeah. Alicia Keys tried it though. She went natural, did she?
Yeah, no makeup, nothing. Yeah.
Tried the no makeup movement.
Yeah.
And they threw her away. You know,
Well, you know, they shunned her a little bit.
they did shun her. She made
Well,
decisions
they-
based upon her life. What she
But they
wanted.
shunned her. They shunned her based off of the wasn't Swizz married when they started kicking it?
Oh, absolutely.
Well,
Yeah.
well, come on. I mean,
Somehow she got vilified for that.
She's a home wrecker. She's a home wrecker.
Somehow she got vilified for that.
if you're in the
It's
music,
because it's always the women's fault. It's never the male's fault. It's not like,
Right.
you know, it's all of a sudden
They know better.
we get hypnoptized and shit.
They know what we are. They know better. It's her fault.
listen, every time a popular artist comes into town, that artist is a home wrecker. Because somebody's sleeping with somebody to either get at them, to get to the concert, to get, like, you know, they're all home wreckers. So how Alicia Keys got that smoke, I don't know. I think she's a musical genius. I think she might be too, you know, but you know what, bro? She might be a little bit too militant for them. You know, you can't even say things like Jamie Foxx, hot off of this movie, is also hot off an apology to the Jewish community.
Man, stop it.
The brother said, I can't stop it. We gotta, born in trouble.
Is he? What'd he do?
He said, well, look, and in response to something that was totally unrelated, he said, look, these people these people killed Jesus. Imagine what they would do to me. And the Jewish community automatically took the leap of faith that he was talking about their particular community and started on a cancellation tour for Jamie Foxx at that point in time. Now, what one thing has to do with another, if you're feeling it's like sort of like I saw some brothers on the internet say, well, it's always the kick dog that hollers. You know,
Right.
because he didn't necessarily
the
say
two
it
Muslim
about-
brothers.
Yeah, he didn't
The
necessarily.
kick. They say kicked. It
Nah,
ain't
the
hit.
hit. It's the hit dog.
Yeah, the hit dog is the one that hollers.
X said the kicked one.
Whatever, you know, if you kick him,
I like
kick
that.
the
I
dog,
like that
either
better.
way, it's a hit. It's a
I
hit.
like that
You take
better.
the hit. But a kick dog, it's like, listen, we've been kicked. That's exactly what we do to each other in the society. We kick. And this is definitely what they do to black people. They kick us. But the hit dog hollers. All right? So he had to issue an apology for something that wasn't necessarily directed at anyone. We can't even use verbiage freely. You're not free to even like use verbiage because it might allude to someone or some group that might be. To me, that's like kind of calling yourself out. If I hear somebody say that, I'm not trying to say, oh, that means it's about my community as a Jewish person. Do you think that they overstepped? Do you think they went too far with that one?
When did that happen?
This is just a few days ago.
Oh dang! He just came. He just came up for air. He get in trouble.
Exactly.
Man, you don't want
Took him 5 minutes.
You don't want to start with them folks. Hey, let me ask y'all something before I forget. Last week, did y'all talk about Africa?
Somewhat, but we can talk about it again because it's
Niger?
a large continent. We didn't
I'm
get
talking
into
about
Niger. We didn't get into Niger specifically. No.
The River Niger.
No. Yeah, I've been finding it interesting the set of events that are developing over there.
Fill us in.
Well, there was a coup in Niger, and basically the people who took over was like, because America was like, we're not gonna give you render aid or something, give you aid. He was like, yo, you can give those to your homeless people. You keep that shit and give it to your home. The charity starts at home. Right. And so the organization, I forget the acronym, EWOC or some shit like that, right? Of course, the Europeans put in place to kind of go to. It's an African organization of African countries. They were tasked, and Nigeria kind of leading it to, see about Niger and get that right.
To Ric Flair.
Yeah. And so a couple other countries, which the names escape me, but 2 other countries that, of course, their military runs their country too, was like, look, we'll consider that an act of war. We're not with that shit. Fuck the French. And we bring in Russia on our side to help us out, And so, I guess day 7 was yesterday. Why am I not hearing a resolution? Because Nigeria basically supposedly gave them 7 days.
Yeah,
and so
they don't want that. They don't want that publicized, Gene.
They're talking about it because they're evacuating. The U.S. government's evacuating citizens today, like American citizens.
From the embassy.
Government's evacuating from the country.
Yeah, and we have 2 military bases in Niger.
So I guess that means we're going in heavy in a minute. They're about to take it over because they're threatening 85% of the electricity of
your mic
France.
is out, X.
I just said that. Yeah, hold on.
Or is my mic out?
No, it's X's mic.
I hear you. Yeah, it's X.
Oh, your mic is out, X.
I hear everybody else. I just don't hear X's audio. His audio is gone.
But so this is what I would say, Gene. The reason he killed 15 million Africans, 15, 20 million Africans.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But what you hear about is Hitler being the most evil person ever to live.
Yeah.
But you hear about it because he killed white folks, and the predominant narrative is always about white people.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why you don't hear about it.
Well, no, I mean, I was hearing about it. As a matter of fact, it was making a ticker up under CNN for a while, but I was getting most of the information through my feed,
Right.
From the people over there talking about it. But then I would see a ticker on CNN. But the one thing through my feed I saw consistent is the Nigerian president gave like 7 days for a resolution.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so I know that time period was up on Sunday. But here's more, even beyond all that, I see, and I guess it's always been there. There's always a lot of shifting and politicking going on in Africa, by colonial powers, right? But I see some shifting going on. I think it feels like Russia is saying, yeah, we can go ahead and get our hooks in just by being a better master. You know what I'm saying? Than the rest of these fools, you know what I'm saying? Or just having a partnership where we get a small piece for this, that, and everything. And I see a lot of people calling for these leaders in Africa to just step away from the sauce, man. Step away from the sauce and you know, and let's change history. Man, but boy, I'm talking about they got their foots on their neck so tough. I mean, the way that Nigerian president was talking, I was thinking to myself, why, man? You know, I guess in their minds, now is not the time, or now is never going to be the time.
Well, the bottom line is like Africa cannot defend itself. There's a reason why they have all of these different countries and all of these different bases. If you look at the map of Africa of where it was colonized, every country in Africa was colonized and the riches were exported to some European or Western nation. What Putin is doing right now is he's just trying to stick the thumb in the eye of anyone that has anything against NATO, period. Let's just say it, NATO, period. And in some cases, it really depends on where you sit. If you are a white American in America, you think that NATO has always traditionally been good and fought for the free market and what's right and things of that nature. And if you're in other countries, you look at NATO, such as if you're in Russia, you look at NATO as someone that's always pushing boundaries and trying to stop you from, and being somewhat aggressive themselves. In Africa, NATO bases exist to keep the local populations in line and to keep the resources going. What I think is interesting is I want to see how far it's going to actually go. Nigeria can't go in and fight. Nigeria can't go in and fight Niger.
Something's going to pop. It'll pop off because from what I understand, 70-80% of France's
energy comes from
energy comes from Niger, the uranium produced in Niger. Yeah, and so that's why, so here's the thing. If Africans wouldn't stand up, if Africans wouldn't fight Africans, let me ask you something. How could on a global stage any of the colonizers go in by brute force if they don't have locals fighting alongside of them?
Here's the reality of Africa. Western nations are so far advanced as far as weaponry is concerned that if you were to come to, there have been calls from African leaders, like I saw recently, one of them came out and said, look, our resources, we are calling for all Africans that are living abroad in other countries, everyone of African descent, to come back. It's time for you to help us. Time for you to help us build these things. If you were to build manufacturing inside of the continent of Africa, you could build an entire world inside of the continent of Africa and never have to leave the continent. But where would that leave the rest of the world? It would leave the rest of the world poor, hungry. They would be the Ethiopians. They would be the ones that would be on the UNICEF ads. They would be the ones that would be living in the dark. And we all know that that's not what the United States and what these conquering nations do. What they do is they go to other places to plunder the resources and bring them back home so that way we can live the best lives here. So the reality of it is that if Africa were to simultaneously rise up as a continent, as one great big huge nation, you would see the West damn near do everything short of pushing the button. They're not going to push the button on Africa. They're not going to explode nukes in Africa because they need the resources there. But you want to talk about military excursions for the next 10, 20 years? It's a very strong possibility.
Yeah.
You want to talk about chemical warfare? Very strong possibility.
They're too dug in. White folks are way too dug in Africa. So part of what keeps these economies alive, these other countries' economies alive, is keeping Africa poor. The way, you know what I mean? The way that it is, so that they can extract those resources and do what they have to do to make that money.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's keeping Africa poor and impoverished is big business around the world. Not just in America, not just in Russia, not just in China or whatever. Everybody.
All stock prices up. It's about greed.
If they united, no one could do shit about it.
Kansas.
They can try. They can try, but the only thing they can do is cut their nose and spite their face, and that's with nuclear weapons. But if Africa united, they can produce a nuclear weapon in no time.
Can they?
But
Every time, the history of the continent is such that if you take leadership and you bring leadership to Africa, that leadership has a bullseye on it. That leadership can't leave the hotel. It's
look at Gaddafi.
No, well, when I say unite, like unite under one type of constitution that serves that continent, and no one could do nothing except for get in line.
You're trying to bring a lot of different people together, like that.
That's right.
Right.
Well, no, I'm not saying that's an easy task. That's probably just as hard a task as getting descendants of slaves over here to unite for something.
Even more so.
You're talking hundreds of thousands of years of tribal warfare.
Yeah.
No.
They're not just going to get over that.
I don't agree with that because of some of the books that I read. That many years of tribal warfares, and I think even if there were tribal warfares that went back in time, they can't be proven to be anywhere near the violence that goes on now.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
So, but
in
still,
terms of getting them all on the same page politically, I think is where that comes in.
Well, I think it's possible because of the enemy of my enemy. The longer you go, the longer we go forward, the more history shows clearly why everybody's in the condition they're in. I think it's possible for people to say this is what we have to do.
But the problem
we
is
don't have a choice.
The problem is they're not all enemy of my enemy. One of the reasons why, for example, Ethiopia has a different, are the ones that they're using. Ethiopia, what that shows you is the country that they use to actually show the military force. That's the puppet country that's got the hand of the West the furthest up its ass. Okay? Yeah. So when you say that the enemy of my enemy, and I was thinking that as Grant was talking, the enemy of my enemy, what unites us more than a common enemy? But the simple fact of the matter is that even across Africa, Europe is not always viewed as an enemy with all circles. There are always people that benefit in every regime. This is what happened in Cuba with the split up when they took over the island. It's like a lot of people are still mad about what happened in Cuba, but if you look at it upon racial and economic lines, it's pretty simple to figure out what happened. The black slaves that were in Cuba were getting their asses kicked, and the white slave owners and the white Hispanic Cubans liked the status quo. And that balance didn't work out, and they kicked them out. And then what'd they do? Sanctions for 20 years. It's not an easy thing. Rob, you had some thoughts on it?
My gummy just kicked in.
His gummy just kicked in.
Swing and a miss.
Swing and a miss. So I just wanted to just bring all this stuff back. It's funny how all this stuff is related. We go from Alabama, where they have a fist fight victory, a fatal victory there, and in that same state we were talking about a couple of weeks earlier when the Supreme Court ruled against them gerrymandering votes in order to limit black districts. And they were the only ones that came out on a statewide level and said, well, we understand what the Supreme Court said, but we're still going to keep on drawing these districts this way in order to keep black people out of power. So it's like, is that some of that frustration that showed up at the dock the other day? Did those racists
Absolutely.
You could tie that dock to any goddamn thing.
Oh man.
It was
exactly. There's a knuckle sandwich that somebody ate like in 1982. That shit came out on the dock the other day.
That's right. Yeah. You see what they did? You see what they did in Tulsa, Oklahoma? They remembered that at the dock. That's right.
Everything is everything. Well, fellas, guess what, man? Damn, this hour went quick as hell.
Yeah.
We out.
Man, we had an hour.
What I'm gonna do is
Jesus
I'm gonna
Christ.
stop the recording of the show in a minute as soon as I say goodbye, and thank you to my illustrious guest, Mr. Robert Brooks, Mr. Gene Hopkins, and of course the City Wang Kang, owner of City Wings.
2896 West Grand Boulevard, Detroit, Michigan. Come down and get you some.
Come get you
Bam!
some.
Detroit.
Detroit, Michigan. Born in trouble. We're going to catch y'all next week on the show. We're going to keep it going right now on the live channel.